What's up, y'all? So here in the next couple seconds, we might hear an interesting noise. Is that picking up? Yes, that is an air raid siren here in South Korea. They're performing some kind of nationwide drill, civil defense drill. As you know, South Korea is still at war with North Korea. I think they signed some kind of like ceasefire, but this schniz has never officially ended. So we have to do things like this. A big drill like this happens, I don't know, maybe it's pretty infrequent, maybe once a year. But I can only imagine, like, if you're traveling here and you don't get this information, you might be scared out of your mind. You know what I mean? Like, what the frick? News sensationalizes a lot of what's going on. I don't really know what's going on, to be fair, but it's always in the back of my mind. Let me tell you what, we're very close to the border here in Seoul. So today I thought I would eat one of these SOS rations, emergency rations, and talk a little bit about what these drills are like, what's going on. I tried one of these in a video years ago, and apparently they're still good for another 10 years. One of these has 410 calories, and it has 6 grams of protein. That doesn't seem, I mean, in an emergency, it's better than nothing, you know what I'm saying? I forgot what these tasted like, but there's appears to be some kind of weird, like, coagulation going on in there. But we're gonna be trying this out. Yeah, these have a shelf life of 15 years, I guess. Sounds like someone speaking over a loudspeaker. I can't make out what they're saying. But if you are outside, then there are some things that you're expected to do in a situation like this. Say, broken apart, just like that. You can check out my other video on this if you want a more detailed breakdown. It's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. These have been sitting in a drawer for the past, 4 years. They're manufactured in 2020. Anyway, yeah, I thought there would be more sirens, but yeah, so what you're supposed to do today when they're conducting these nationwide civil defense drills is if you're outside walking around, you're supposed to go into an emergency shelter, which they have. I looked it up. Apparently it's around 3,000 in Seoul. But they're not like heavy duty bunkers that I know of. They're more of like subway stations. They're more like car parks that are underground at apartments. They are maybe an underground mall. Just try to go underground, basically. So I looked up around where I live, around my studio as well. Like, where can I go? If you go to Korean neighbor or map apps, you can find out all the locations. There's a couple within a couple minutes away. I'm surprised the sirens aren't going. Yeah, but they're both at these kind of like low-key apartments. They just have a simple underground parking garage, and that's where you're supposed to go. I don't know what they have in there. I don't know if they have emergency supplies stocked up in there. I kind of doubt it. I mean, they might have a few, but not enough to sustain, a large amount of people for any amount of time, probably. I do think that if something were to happen, there would be a counter pretty quickly, but I don't really think anything would even happen at all. That's just my guess, but it's unsettling that we are so close. You never know. You never know with that guy. He's a complete wild card, but I feel like every time I watch a new documentary on the guy, he's not gonna he just wants to live like a king, and he doesn't want to die. You know what I mean? So I don't think he would really he's gonna push buttons, but he's not gonna push them down all the way. So I've been in Korea I've been living here over 10 years, and a lot of people do ask me, like, what's the situation with North Korea? What's that like? Blah, blah, blah. And I ask Korean people who I'm around, and they all say, no one literally gives a crap. They've been doing this for so many years that we're all just kind of used to it. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. But, you know, eventually that wolf did show up. I don't, you know, not saying it's going to be the same thing with this, but, you know, that's kind of how people think about it here. And so that's how I always tell people when they ask, people in America or wherever else. That was a weak drill, man. That only went off for like 10 seconds. Anyway, so I just kind of, you know, went along with what I've heard. Like, yeah, I'm not worried about it, but I do think about it. I still always, it's always on the back of my mind, like, what if something happened? What would I do? Where would I go? And so it's nice to have drills and reminders like this, you know, knowing where to go, what to do. I don't have anything planned, like a bug out bag or anything like that. They're just back to construction. I feel like technically these guys are supposed to stop what they're doing, but here in Korea, people are pretty chill, you know what I mean? But anyway, I don't have a bug out bag, so if shit did hit the fan, I wouldn't know what to do, what to grab before I have to get out of there ASAP. I should probably assemble some stuff and put it all in one place where I can just. And I'm not talking about like survival, like a hatchet. I ain't talking about no flint, right? I'm just talking, or I obviously can't have guns here, but just like essentials, like a passport and whatnot. Should I grab that and get to the shelter immediately, or ASAP? Instead of bumbling around my house trying to think about what I need in a panic. Should probably set one of those up. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. The protocol for this drill, which seems a lot more anticlimactic than I thought it would be. I thought they claimed this would be going on for 15, 20 minutes. Maybe they just failed. The drill's just like they gave out, or the sirens. So my whole concept for this video is kind of bogus now. My whole concept was like, eating emergency rations while air raid sirens go off in the background or something like that, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, what I looked up is if you're inside, you can stay inside your house or whatever. If you're outside, go to your nearest shelter, whether that's a subway station or just a designated place. Underground parking garage, something like that, underground mall. And if you're driving, you have to pull over. I'm not really sure exactly about those specifics, but you have to at least clear the road, I think, so emergency vehicles can get through. But like I said, I'm not really too worried about it because I just don't think Kim Jong-un is the type of guy who would risk his life like that. But what do I know? I don't really know anything. I'm just speculating. But when I read that book, Nuclear War, a scenario by Annie Jacobson, the whole, spoiler alert, real quick one, so shut it off for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. It was North Korea who sent some nukes, I guess. Which I don't think they would do that. So the whole scenario, I mean, it was an interesting read, but the whole scenario to me was, I just don't think they would do that, but you know, I'm wrong about a lot of things. Anyway, at this point, I'm just rambling. My whole video idea was kind of failed once I shut off those damn sirens. I thought they would still be going, man. Well, anyway, hopefully you got some kind of information there. Regardless, I'm skating out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.